All right, Tyson, and welcome everybody to our first of hopefully many interviews highlighting the amazing lives of people that are living with LHON. And so I'd like to welcome Tyson to our interview today. So hello, Tyson.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Great, thank you. So maybe Tyson, you want to just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm 29 years old and I've been affected with LHON for about 2 years now, depending on how you look at it. I was involved in the avalanche industry for nearly 10 years, worked mostly for cat skiing and heli skiing operations as a ski guide. And then in December of 2018, I lost most of the vision in my right eye over the course of a couple of weeks. And then in summer of 2019, the same thing then happened to my left eye. And then shortly after that, I did see a little bit of natural vision recovery, but I've still got the typical central blind spots. And my peripheral vision isn't perfect, but like most patients with LHON, I see enough in my peripheral vision that I can walk around without bumping into things. But I'm still a screen reader user. I use JAWS and VoiceOver on the phone. Still pretty active in the backcountry. I do a fair bit of skiing, do lots of hiking in the summer, do some climbing, and actually more climbing now than I did when I was a sighted person, or fully sighted person, I should say. Climbing is definitely something that I think is a great sport for someone with a visual impairment, because it's a lot of it is about feeling the rock. And when I'm climbing, I definitely don't feel that my visual impairment is the biggest limitation. The fact that I'm not a very good climber is definitely the biggest limitation.
Did you climb before vision loss?
A little bit, not a lot. I did climb a bit, but yeah, definitely have done more climbing since vision loss. Actually, it's probably the one activity that I've perhaps advanced in a little bit after losing my vision.
Now, you said that you lost your vision in one of your eyes in 2018, and the other one came a year later. So, which mutation do you have? Do you know offhand?
Yeah, I do. The 13513 mutation. It seems to be quite rare. I've only come across about half a dozen other stories of people with this mutation.
Wow. And is it common for that mutation to have some vision recovery?
A few people have actually seen very substantial vision recovery. But it's a very small sample size, so it's pretty tough to say, but some have definitely experienced pretty significant vision recovery.
Right. With your vision loss, do you have a diagnosis story that you'd like to share with us? Because I know a lot of LHON patients go through a significant period of time without knowing what is actually in fact wrong with their eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be the case for myself for sure. And actually my health problems started prior to the vision loss. I actually had, some issues with my digestive system and maintaining a healthy weight and muscle mass, as well as I was then diagnosed with chronic kidney disease. I've only got about 20% of my kidney function, and never received any answers to why that was happening until the vision loss. When I first lost vision in my right eye, it was thought to be optic neuritis, which I think is not uncommon. And then it took about a year to get the diagnosis of LHON. And so it is now believed that the health problems that preceded the vision loss are due to that mutation as well. And there's actually, like I mentioned, there's about a half dozen other stories of people with this mutation, and a few of those people have the same kidney disease that I do as well. So yeah, kind of interesting in that regard, that finding out that the vision loss is what provided the answers to the other health problems I had. So I haven't really been given a very specific diagnosis, but LHON plus, or some other sort of mitochondrial disorder related to Leber's would be the diagnosis for sure.
Right. So with your vision loss, you mentioned you use assistive technology. Did it take you long to get into the world of assistive technology, or did you have any personal speed bumps or challenges in adjusting to vision loss, or did you embrace it when you found out about?
Yeah, I definitely had tons of challenges. I got in touch with the CNIB fairly early on and received some assistance. I kind of got exposed to the technology through that, and then definitely learned a lot from interacting with other people that are blind and visually impaired. But yeah, it's a huge adjustment, definitely. Like it's to go from working in an outdoor setting and and working all over British Columbia and Alberta, and then all of a sudden not being able to drive and no longer being able to do your job. Yeah, it's a massive struggle. The struggle was definitely not just limited to learning how to use technology, but just losing that independence and losing a livelihood that's incredibly challenging. But it took a while, and eventually I started to learn how to use different pieces of technology and learn new ways of doing things. And I've certainly made quite a bit of progress from where I was after my left eye was affected.
Mm-hmm. Now, I sort of feel like you've certainly embraced this idea of learning technology and refinding your independence. Tell us a bit about what you're doing in the backcountry these days.
So I continue to ski in the backcountry after vision loss. Skiing was something that was always very important to me, and not just skiing, but backcountry skiing in particular. And I started looking for ways that I could utilize my existing skill set as a professional and as a ski guide. And I very quickly learned that there's a lot of really great adaptive sports programs out there, lots of programs that will teach the blind how to ski, but they're very focused on beginner skiers. They're very focused on the resort environment. And basically, none of these adaptive sports programs were catering to those that had an interest in backcountry skiing. So, I saw a bit of an opportunity there to, kind of create that opportunity for others. I definitely felt that if I can do this stuff in the backcountry, there are definitely others that could be doing the same thing. So I started a nonprofit organization called Braille Mountain Initiative, and our focus is to get the blind and visually impaired involved in backcountry mountain sports. So we're going to start with backcountry skiing because that's where most of my knowledge base is, and definitely what I'm most passionate about. But I think there's an opportunity here to expand this program to provide opportunities for those that have an interest in more challenging climbing objectives, mountaineering, more challenging hiking, things like that. So just, creating a broader opportunity for the blind and visually impaired to participate in the more challenging aspects of backcountry mountain sports.
That's amazing. So you must be looking forward to the winter.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I absolutely love Canadian winters, and I've already been skiing out a few times, and definitely looking forward to more snow.
So where are you located now, and where did you grow up?
I grew up in southern Alberta. I grew up on an acreage just south of Okotoks, but I've been living in Invermere I just moved to Invermere a few months ago, but prior to that, I lived in Radium and also lived in Roslyn for a while. So, last 10 years or so, just various parts of British Columbia.
You're just nestling yourself in the mountains, perfectly positioned for your sport.
Yeah,
so what
absolutely.
do you have coming up now for the Braille Mountain Initiative? Do you have a trip planned with some blind or partially sighted skiers coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we're focused on a trip that's going to take place in either late March or early April of spring of 2021. We haven't completely solidified the dates yet, but we're going to be taking a group of blind and visually impaired skiers to Sorcerer Lodge. This is a ski touring lodge located just a little ways northwest of Golden. It's heli access only. It'll be a week-long trip, so we'll get a helicopter lift into the lodge, ski there for a week, get a lift out. I'm not sure how. Are you familiar with the concept of ski touring?
Yeah, I am, but maybe not everybody on LHON is.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So quite often when I mention that we're using a helicopter, people initially start thinking about heli skiing, but the helicopter is actually just to access the location. So we'll fly in, we'll get dropped off at the lodge. It's a totally off the grid lodge, completely self-sufficient, and from there, basically each morning we get up, we hike, we use skiing gear that's basically a specialized kind of binding that is very similar to telemark bindings in the fact that the toe pivots. However, with this style of binding, the heel then locks in place when it's time to ski downhill. And then we put a material on the bottom of our skis that allows the ski to slide uphill but not downhill. This gives you the ability to hike up the mountain with your skis on, take that material off the bottom of your ski, lock the heel in, and go skiing. And this basically allows us to get around in the backcountry and ski wherever we want. No chairlift required. So, endless possibilities. You can just look at a mountain and think, well, that would be fun to ski, and you go do it. And so we'll do that for a week. It'll be the group will consist of myself, a photographer, 2 sighted certified ski guides, and 4 other blind or visually impaired skiers. And then also we've asked all of those individuals to bring with them a sighted companion, someone that is also prepared to take on this challenge, and is someone that's important to them in their skiing life, and someone that they ski with on a regular basis, as it's important to have a ratio of 1 sighted person to 1 blind person when skiing. So
that's remarkable. So I imagine that there's quite a bit of enthusiasm generated with this, and excitement. Have you had people apply for it, or do you have lots of people that really want to support you in your initiative?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got more than enough interested participants to run the program. And yeah, a few people in particular that are really, really excited about the opportunity. Most of these people are, very passionate skiers, been skiing all their lives, many of whom have participated in the Paralympics, and also have actively sought opportunities in the past to try backcountry skiing, and, have the opportunity has simply not been there. There's a number of barriers. It's a very expensive sport to get into. So there's a massive financial barrier. As well as in some cases, some of these people have approached other operators, and whether it's heli skiing or ski touring operators, and said they'd like to do something like this, and they've been told no, because some of these operators see it as a significant liability and a significant risk to take blind and visually impaired people into the backcountry. But that's something that I certainly disagree with. I don't think it is an increase in liability or risk.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I can say that from a point of knowledge and experience, because I did work in the industry for 10 years prior to my vision loss. So I certainly know how it works, and I'm confident that it can be done safely, and that it is not a more dangerous thing to be doing.
I'm so excited for you. I'm sitting here with goosebumps, just thrilled to be able to watch this journey unfold as well. Before vision loss, Tyson, did you ever imagine yourself doing this kind of work on behalf of people with a visual impairment?
Honestly, no. It's not something that had crossed my mind. I didn't personally know anybody who was blind or visually impaired prior to losing my own vision. So it's not something that was really on the radar. And to be completely honest, if someone had asked me, hey, we've got some blind people that want to do this stuff in the backcountry, I could have been amongst those that had thought it was not a possible thing to be doing. I think that from a sighted person's perspective, it's very challenging to envision what is possible. It's almost impossible to know what can and can't be done until you're in that position, figuring it out for yourself.
There's a quote that I really like. It says that people with disabilities are the first life hackers. So, do you believe that as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I've definitely found numerous new ways of doing things. And there's certain situations where I've looked back and thought, is the previous way I was doing it, was that really the best way to be doing that?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So I absolutely agree with you. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what motivates you? Like, you've got this idea of perseverance, you've adapted, you've found new ways of doing things that you enjoy. You seem to be thriving in life. What motivates you, Tyson?
I can think back to a particular moment on a certain ski trip where I was skiing something that I had wanted to ski for years as a sighted person, and was now doing it, for the first time as a blind person, a really excited thing to ski. And I kind of thought about how good I felt in that particular moment, and thought, like, this is something that should be shared with other people. And I would say that that's the biggest motivation here, is, trying to provide other people with that particular moment that I had on that particular mountain that day. And it's possible. It's definitely doable. We just need to create the opportunity. And I would say that kind of sums it up. Just, there's one particular moment in my head that I can recall, and I think other people should have that moment.
Beautiful. I think it's an honor to be able to share that kind of thing with other people. And I think that's really inspirational. Speaking to the LHON community, how can we, as your peers and colleagues in this community, some would say the LHON family, how can we support you in this Braille initiative, Braille Mountain Initiative?
I mean, one thing I always say to people when they ask how they can support is spread the word. Spread the word within the LHON community, but as well as spread the word within the sighted community, and as well as other opportunities you have to interact with other blind people. For a number of reasons. You never know who's needing this opportunity. You never know, who's needing something like this to look at as a source of inspiration. And you never know as well who's going to be the person to step forward and make a sizable financial contribution, which is something that we definitely need for this to be a success. So that's something that everyone can do, is just get the word out there. When you find yourself interacting with other sports enthusiasts, you're interacting with other blind people, just, spread the word.
Or as I'm personally somebody that also likes alpine hiking, so perhaps there's a partnership collaboration out there for us to work together.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I said, I think there's an interest in creating programs like this in other aspects of backcountry mountain sports. For sure, I've had people say that they're interested in hiking and climbing, and they just haven't had the opportunity to take on the next challenge. And so, absolutely, going forward, hopefully in perhaps the summer of 2022 or the following year, we can create some more challenging climbing programs, mountaineering, things like that, because it's definitely those are definitely doable things.
So one last thing, Tyson, as somebody that I believe is leading a very inspirational life, and you're leading the way and paving the path or carving out the path, do you have any pieces of advice or a piece of advice for people living with LHON or vision loss?
One piece of advice I would definitely share is I don't think vision loss is a good reason to give up on the things that had given you joy prior to vision loss. The example for myself is backcountry skiing, and I think that we've all got something in our lives that brings us joy, gives our lives meaning. And I think a lot of people, when they go through their vision loss, when they start their vision loss journey, I should say, some of those things seem like activities they're going to have to give up. And I don't feel that's the case. I think if there's something you really want to do, something that gives your life joy, vision loss isn't a reason to stop doing it.
Seeing beyond vision loss. Tyson, thank you so much for joining us today and imparting your wisdom, and also for just being such an inspiration to all of us. We look forward to keep watching you with the Braille Mountain Initiative and spreading the word. So thank you very much.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tyson. Goodbye.
Bye.